is a big topic that we're hitting today, and it may elude a lot of us, but come in with an open mind and just an open heart, because here at Gemstorm Relevation, my sole intention and purpose is to help people live the best life that they can, and to become the best version of yourself, to live in passion, to live in purpose, while being present. So that's why being present is so important, and that's what this message is that's coming across now. So what it means to live in the present, we're going to go over that next, and we're going to go over tips and tricks to help you stay in the present moment. And I'm going to kind of end the conversation with why it's so hard to stay in the present moment. Because if you can be aware of why it's difficult and be aware of our actual DNA reasons for it to be so difficult, then you can just increase your awareness and you can know better what's happening within you so that you can utilize these tips and tools that I'm going to be giving you. Okay, so what it means to live in the present moment, to be present, what does all of that mean? It's a way that we can be... Sorry, let me start that again. I'm reading something, I got lost. Okay, so let's chat about like what it means to be present, okay? So being in the present, meaning living in the moment, right? Realizing that yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a gift. That's why it's called a present, the presence in the present, because it is a gift. Hi, Galina. So what can you do to stay present? So here's the tips and tricks that we're going to do. Now, staying in the present moment is definitely a commitment that you need to be willing to make, and it's a decision that you get to make every single day. So when you wake up in the morning, you get to choose, like, today, am I going to live in presence? Am I going to make the choice every time that I get to choose presence and to choose happiness and to allow things of the past to fall behind because they don't need to follow me anymore? And can I let go of my worries of the future because I am divinely guided and I am taken care of, right? No matter what it is, we're always taken care of, and it's always just, everything always seems to work out, right? Like, no matter what situation you're in life, everything always seems to work out for the best, right? And if we can just enjoy living in the moment of being present, then you're going to just get more joy and more happiness out of life, and you're not going to get robbed, because that's all you're doing when you're worried about the future or you're dwelling on the past. You're just robbing yourself of the happiness that you can have right now. So making a commitment, that's tip number 1. So remaining present will take a level of effort and commitment. You can do this by choosing to start your day in the present. So one of the best ways you can do this is by grounding your energy as soon as you wake up in the morning. And anytime during the day you find yourself worrying about the future or fixating on the past events that have happened, then you need to ground. So I'm going to leave a link in the comments here. This is to one of my YouTube videos for grounding. And that will, that's something that you can go back to anytime. You can use it multiple times. You cannot ground too much, okay? I have lots of meditations on my channel that can help with this, but that's just my recommendation of the one that I think works the best, and it's really super quick. It's like 5 to 6 minutes, so you can plug it in the morning and just go on about your day after that. It's just 5 minutes of your time. It's going to change how your day starts. It's going to change how the rest of your day goes. And it's something that I talk about a lot with my clients, is that like morning routines are so important, because that's going to help you set the tone for your day, set the vibration for the day, you know, just going to really set the precedent of how the day is going to go. You know, sometimes you wake up in the morning and you just have this sense of dread, like today is just not going to be a good day. I can feel it. If you allow that energy to stay within you, then absolutely it's going to be a terrible day. But if you decide to flip the script and just go ahead and do one of the meditations on my YouTube channel, or any meditation or frequency music, whatever resonates most with you, then go do that, because that's going to change everything for you. Okay, tip number 2 is to develop a system. So as I just mentioned, like morning routines and whatnot. So your system can be, as mentioned above, with the grounding meditation I have suggested. You can make that as part of your morning routine. But another suggestion that I have as well is you could set some alarms for yourself. So these alarms will help remind you to stop and assess. So have I been present since my last check-in? What kind of things have I been doing or thinking that has taken me out of being in the present moment? And then by acknowledging and being aware of your thoughts, it will help you practice. It will help your practice of being present evolve naturally. So eventually, as you keep doing this, it's just going to be more natural for you to stay in a mindset of being present. Tip number 3 is to become aware of your body. So staying in the present will really require you to get quite familiar with yourself, with your higher self, to listen and believe the messages that you're receiving. So to learn, you really need to learn how to hear what your body needs. So again, the practice mentioned above with the alarms will really help you get familiar with yourself, because when you start to assess and look back and think about what has happened over, say you're setting an alarm every hour, every 2 hours, then it's going to help you, because as you're assessing, you're going to get little twinges in the body, and these are messages for you. These are telling you that there's something not sitting quite right. There's something that may need to be looked at. There might be something that needs to be healed. But what you can do is anytime you're feeling any kind of way inside of your body is to just close your eyes and visualize yourself putting breath into whatever that discomfort is that you have in your body. So I do have a meditation that is ready for recording called the body scan. And I frequently do this one with a lot of my meditation experiences because it's just a really great way to get into that meditative state and to start. So as soon as I have that ready on YouTube, I will post that link for you guys on that one. So our next tip is to remain conscious of thought. Okay, so keeping thoughts positive and present focused. So to help keep your thoughts in a more positive vibration, I highly recommend the chakra affirmation nighttime meditation, because this is just going to help reprogram, and it's going to just work on raising your frequency. And when you can do that, then it's naturally going to help you change your thought pattern so that you're not thinking negatively and you're thinking more positively, because it is within our DNA, and we're going to talk about this more at the end, but it is within your DNA for us to dwell a little bit more into the negativity. And that's just because of how we have evolved in human evolution. It's not that you're doing anything wrong, or it's not that you're not doing it right, or whatever the thought might be. It's just that is where we are predispositioned to do. That's how we are meant to be. It's part of our survival instincts. But in today's day and age, it's really not necessary. In certain instances, I mean, we do still need some level of fear so that we can be aware and protective of ourselves. But there's a lot of things from our ancient history and timelines and whatnot that is really not ours to carry with us. And it will continue to leave us in negative thought patterns. But doing something simple like affirmations, and if you don't want to do the overnight affirmations, you don't have to. You can wake up in the morning, do your grounding meditation, and then you could get into gratitude. You could pick 5 gratitudes that you're really thankful for. That will help raise your vibe as well. Or you can pick a certain affirmation set that you really like and do that. There's many things that you can do to help you naturally shift your thought patterns and reprogram/rewire the brain to get you into a more positive path. Okay, so the video that I linked below about the chakra affirmations, this was actually created to help cleanse the chakras with affirmations that are targeted for each chakra. So when the chakras are flowing well, it helps keep your vibrations in a more positive state, so the narrative of the mind won't default to the negative. But if you find yourself whirling in thoughts of negativity or anxiety about the future, recognize your signs. This is where becoming really aware of your body and your signals are going to help you. And by doing these steps, it's really going to become apparent. As soon as something happens, you're gonna be like, oh no, I know what that is. And then you can stop and do what you need to do to get yourself grounded and back into a state of positivity or a state of meditation, just whatever it takes to bring you back, okay? So just this, and I'm going to recommend in this situation, if you're just really overwhelmed with all of the thoughts of negativity, anxiety about the future, just stop yourself. And we're going to do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. So this method will bring you back into the body and activates the senses so that all of these thoughts aren't making you float around outside of your body, which is creating a disconnect with your vibration and all of your bodies, your emotional body, your spiritual body, your physical body. Like, that's what's happening when you get these anxiety attacks, is that the bodies are separating and they don't know how to come back together. And doing this method will really help you. So first, you want to look for 5 things that you can see. So you're going to like look around and like just pick out 5 things that you can see. And then 4 things that you can touch. And then you can ask yourself too, like, what does it feel like? Is it soft? Is it rough? You can get really into that if you want to. Then you're going to do 3 things that you can hear. So any noises that you can hear around you, it just really helps bring all of the bodies back together, get yourself back into your body, back into your mind. Then 2 things you can smell, and then 1 thing you can taste. So this just really helps you bring yourself back into the present moment and bring your awareness back into the present as well. Okay, the next tip is to be aware of your surroundings. So periodically throughout your day, take the time to notice the things around you. So what can you see in those moments that bring you joy, happiness, and or gratitude? You know, maybe you can make that part of your alarms as well. So your alarms is helping you to assess, but then also take that extra minute or whatever it's going to take a look around and just like really have some appreciation and love for where you're at and what you have and like what you're doing and just whatever it is that you need to do to just really get yourself in that present moment and enjoying what you're doing, because so often we are just on autopilot, just trying to get our days done until we're ready for bed and like just to make it through, right? But there's so much more to life than that. We don't need to just make it through to the next day. Enjoy everything that you have around you in the moment, right? So the next tip is enjoy being where you are, right? So here's a really cool example that I came across while I was doing some research about like some things that we can do to help stay in the present moment and enjoy being where you are no matter where it is. So it could be something like as mundane. Okay, so let me just read this part here because I've written it really well. So I'll just read it. So how often do people find themselves waiting? So waiting on something as trivial as like maybe a bus or your Uber or whatever, waiting for some future event to happen that's going to bring them happiness. Like when this happens, then they can be happy. When so-and-so apologizes to me, I can forgive them and then I can be happy. Regardless, we have a choice to make. We can choose to be happy right now as everything is without an ultimatum. And like this right here was likely one of my biggest aha moments, is that I have the choice regardless of what's happened around me, regardless of the events that I found myself in, is that I can still choose to be happy right now in this moment without ultimatum, without needing some sort of outside source telling me that it's okay for me to be happy right now, right? So I get to choose to be happy. I get to choose how I react, or better still, how I don't react. And that regardless of how tough things may appear right now, I can find and allow myself to feel happiness. So now let's take it back to that person that's waiting for the bus. Okay, so let's just say that you're out on a walk and there's somebody sitting on a bus bench and you're waiting for the bus. So if you were to approach them and ask them what they're doing, they're most likely going to tell you that they're waiting for the bus, right? But what if instead this person replied with, I am enjoying fresh air while I sit on this bench, watching life happen around me. This is the difference on thinking in the present moment versus the future, right? Something so small, just a simple switch in the perception can make all the difference in how we enjoy where we are and being present in it. So lastly, we're going to talk about why it is so hard to stay in the present moment, because you could be one of the top gurus and you can be the most spiritual person in the world, but there's still going to be moments where your past and fear and anxiety of the future will creep up on you, because there's going to be events that are going to happen, and it's all in how you take care of yourself in those moments, right? So this is why we're talking about this. But I wanted to actually read this amazing article that I came across on Psychology Today, and I thought it explained it just so perfectly, in better words than I ever could have put it. So I just wanted to share this with you because it was just it just made so much sense to me and made so much click. So human psychology is evolutionarily hardwired to live in the past and the future. So other species have instincts and reflexes to help their survival, but human survival relies very much on learning and planning. So you can't learn without living in the past, and you can't plan without living in the future. Regret, for example, which makes many of us miserable by reflecting on the past, is an indispensable mental mechanism for learning from one's own mistakes to avoid repeating them. Fears of the future are likewise essential to motivate us to do something that is somewhat unpleasant, but has an enormous benefit for our well-being in the future. Without this fear, we would not acquire an education or invest in our future. We wouldn't be able to take responsibility for our health. We wouldn't even store food for any kind of emergency situation. We would just simply eat as much as we feel like and dispose of the rest, as an example. So the other reason why it's so hard for us to live in the present is that our own intelligent cognition simply denies its existence. Our mind views time as a continuous and linear process because it is continuous. Any millisecond before the present moment is already past, and any millisecond later is already in the future. So the live the moment recommendation must have some truth in it if it is universally recognized as a useful strategy for dealing with distress. So indeed, research evidence does show that people who are capable of deciding thoughts about the past and the future are generally happier. So can our evolutionary disposition to overly focus on the past and the future be tricked into giving the present more space and making it endure? I believe that it can. One useful strategy is to acknowledge the fact that the me today is not exactly the same person as me yesterday or me tomorrow, that our lifespan is compromised of multiple selves on different shifts as we develop and change throughout our life. This is not an illusion, but a reality. If me is the sum of my memories, desires, thoughts, feelings, then clearly me today is a very different person from me 20 years ago, right? I think we can all agree to that. And who knows who this person might be 20 years from now? This reality becomes more apparent to us when we look at our photo album from the distant past, and people who have gone through major crisis in their life would acknowledge this fact more readily than others. So while the multiple selves paradigm might seem a bit scary to some people, it is actually quite encouraging because it suggests that we should care less about past regrets and future fears. Our past and our future selves are not total strangers to us. They are indeed our relatives, but they aren't us. And while we care about our relatives, we care more about ourselves. Maybe my past self from mistakes made in the past that affect my life today, but the more detrimental emotion of regret can be rendered null and void. I might feel concerned about how my future self might be coping in a few years' time, but I can't really know how he or she would feel about his new circumstances because, again, that is not me. So you see, it is very much hardwired as our natural narrative to live in the past or the future, but we do not have to fall victim to our DNA. We have the choice to change the narrative by connecting with our higher selves to know what it is that we actually need. So while we cannot deny our past because it has brought valuable lessons, it doesn't mean that we have to dwell there, right? Upgrade your DNA with the simple practices that I have mentioned above, And that will help you change the narrative of the mind. So it comes down to a simple choice and a commitment to that choice, right? So I hope you found that as inspiring as it was for me to write it. It's just we don't have to be in this disposition constantly about worrying about the future or living in the past with regret and all kinds of things. There's so many emotions that can come up from our past, right? And we don't have to live there. We need to be willing to look at the bigger picture of it and look at, what did I learn from that experience though, right? The biggest traumas that have ever occurred to you, what is the thing that I learned from there? What made me better because of that? What can I be thankful for within those moments that have happened? Right? Like, if you're willing to just explore that part of it, then you're already on your way to changing what you need to do to help you stay present, to help you live a happier, more fulfilled life. So take all of that into consideration, and hopefully if you catch this on the replay, just leave me a little #replay. This is going to be uploaded on YouTube as well, so you can always leave me a comment there too. And if you are checking this out on YouTube, then any of the meditations or anything that I've recommended, all of the links will be in the description below. So have a great day, and thank you for joining me on this beautiful Talk Tuesday, and we will be doing it again soon.